What's going on, guys? UFC Fight Night Mexico is on the way. I'm going to be giving you my breakdowns and predictions for every single fight on the card. Let's get straight into it with the first fight of the night. Austin Hubbard versus Markel Maderos. I'm going to be going with Markel Maderos via a 29-28 unanimous decision. Hubbard's tough and he's decent, but I just don't think he's the most skilled fighter of all time. And Markel Maderos, I think he's pretty skilled. I think he can outstrike him. And if it goes to the ground, I don't hate him there either. And I don't know. I think this is going to be a mostly stand-up fight, obviously. And I think Hubbard is just going to get outstruck a couple strikes per round and lose a close decision. Obviously, Hubbard maybe he marches forward, makes something happen, gets something done. Maybe he outdamages Markel Maderos, who knows? But I don't know. I just rate Markel Maderos. He's pretty good. He didn't look like amazing in all of his fights on the come up, but he has had some pretty good performances. You can see that he's talented. You can see that he's a good fighter. You can see that there's like talent in him. He just has to prove it, and I think he's going to prove it here. I think he's going to get a good win over Austin Hubbard, who is pretty tough. Never been KO'd in his career. He has been submitted 3 times, but I don't know if Markel Maderos is going the submission route. Austin Hubbard's last fight, he lost a split decision to Alexander Hernandez, who just beat Kurt Holobaugh in a pretty controversial fight. I thought Holobaugh won that fight in my opinion, but yeah, loses a split decision to Hernandez. Then before that, beats Michael Figlak by decision. I don't rate that at all. Before that, got submitted in the second round by Kurt Holobaugh. And then before that, won a split decision on the Ultimate Fighter against Roosevelt Roberts. So that's not that's an okay win. Roosevelt Roberts is all right, but I don't know, man. Lost to Joe Selecki by submission. Lost to Vince Piquel. Lost to Mark Madsen. Like, I don't know. I'm just not rating some of these losses. I think Medeiros gets it done. Like, some of Austin Hubbard's losses look kind of bad, and I'm not saying that Markel Medeiros is some world beater, but I mean, Landon Quinones is not a terrible win. Like, that's decent. This guy's a KO guy too, 6 KO wins. Not say I don't think Austin Herbert's get KO'd in this fight, but it's a possibility. And yeah, I don't know. I just think Markel Medeiros is better. So yeah, I'm going Markel Medeiros. Let's move on to the next fight. Jamal Emmers versus Gabriel Miranda. I think Jamal Emmers is gonna sleep Gabriel Miranda in the first round. Maybe not sleep him, but I think he's gonna get the TKO or KO finish, one of the two. Gabriel Miranda, he's alright. He's got tricky jiu-jitsu. He's a very weird, unorthodox guy, especially on the ground. He can catch you up in some weird shit, but I trust Emmers on the ground. He's a black belt, I'm pretty sure, and he's got some decent ground game himself. I know he's been submitted a couple times. Pat Sabatini was able to get him out of there. Ray Trujillo was able to submit him in the regional scene, but 28 professional fights and only been submitted twice, once in the UFC by Pat Sabatini, who in my opinion is a much better grappler and submission artist than Gabriel Miranda. Not probably not much better, but in my opinion he's a better grappler than Gabriel Miranda. And Ray Trujillo on the regional scene back in 2015. So like, dude, this guy doesn't just get submitted all the time. So like, I don't know what some people are saying. Some people, I'm seeing some people say like, "Oh man, Emmer's just be getting submitted." No, he doesn't. He's been submitted twice in his entire career. The last time being against Pat Sabatini, and then the other time being back in 2015 on the regional scene, where he got triangle choked. So cool. I don't know. Miranda could pull it off. He is really tricky to deal with on the ground. I will say that he's very hard. Once he gets you down, you got to be very careful. He can catch you in some weird ass shit. 16 out of his 17 wins are by submission. That other one is by TKO. So all of his wins are by finish, 100% finish rate, but 4 decision losses, 3 TKO losses. I don't know. If he doesn't get the submission, he just doesn't do as well, in my opinion. And I think on the feet, Emmers is levels above. And the striking is going to be much more. The striking is going to be much more one-sided than the grappling. The striking is going to be completely Emmers. He's going to take over on the feet. And the ground game, it's going to be more Miranda, but definitely closer than in the striking. So, yeah, give me Jamal Emmers, first round TKO. Let's move on. Rafa Garcia versus Vince Pichel. I'm not picking Vince Pichel. I got to go Rafa Garcia here. He's younger, youth advantage. He's in Mexico. Vince Pichel has not been the most active fighter, and he's 42 years old. I just can't trust a 42-year-old with my pick. I don't know, man. Especially in these lighter weight classes. I don't know, man. I gotta go Rafa Garcia. He literally beat an old head 2 fights ago, Clay Guida. He beat Clay Guida pretty comfortably. I know in his last fight he got ground and pound TKO'd by Grant Dawson, but Grant Dawson is very talented and he's a ranked fighter. So I don't know. I think Rafa Garcia gets this one done. He's got some decent wins on his resume. Mahashate is an okay win. He beat him when he was 9-1. Before that, lost to Drakkar Close. Who else? What other names does he have? Natan Levy's Before that was on a big streak in the regional scene. Came to the UFC, lost to Nasrat Hakparast. I mean, he's not the most impressive fighter, but I think he can beat a Vince Pichel. Yeah, I reckon he beats Vince Pichel pretty comfortably. Probably doesn't get the finish. Vince Pichel is pretty durable. Only has one submission loss and one TKO loss. But who knows, man? Last fight he lost to Ismail Bonfim at UFC 301. Before that, lost a decision to Mark Madsen. His last fight was in May of 2024. I don't know. He's just not the most active fighter. Like, I don't know. Before that, beat Austin Hubbard. Before that, beat Jim Miller. Before that, beat Roosevelt Roberts. So he was on like a decent streak, and he does have some okay wins on his resume. The Austin Hubbard win is decent. Jim Miller win is pretty good. Roosevelt Roberts, he took Roosevelt Roberts 0, so that's pretty impressive. But we know now Roosevelt Roberts is not the highest level opposition. He beat Alaquinta back in 2012 on The Ultimate Fighter. Dude, this guy's an old head. Vince Pichel is an actual old head. I would be kind of surprised if he came in here and beat Rafa Garcia. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with Rafa Garcia. I think he's gonna be faster in there. I think he's gonna have the physical advantages, better cardio. I think he's gonna be able to. I think he's gonna be able to get the win in front of the Mexican home crowd. So yeah, give me Rafa Garcia 29-28 unanimous decision. Let's move on to the next fight. Julia Polastri versus Lupita Godinez. I gotta go Lupita Godinez here. I know she has really bad decision making and she's pretty dumb sometimes, but she is a talented, skilled fighter, and I think she's gonna be better everywhere than Julia Polastri. She's gonna be in front of her Mexican hometown, and you know what? Maybe that'll make her make some even more dumb decisions, trying to go for a finish, trying to put on a wild fight for the crowd. But I don't know. Julia Polastri, I just don't rate her that high. She's all right. Won her last fight by split decision against Corey McKenna. Before that, lost a decision to Josephine Knudsen. Before that, got a couple decent wins. Beat Patricia Alujas on the Contender Series by finish in the second round. Submitted. Uh, had a bit of a run on the regional scene. Had another shot at the Contender Series back in 2021 against Jasmine Jasuda Vicious. Lost that. Not a bad loss. Jasuda Vicious is a ranked fighter. But yeah, I don't know. Julia Pilastri, she's all right, but I think Lupita Godinez is going to get this one done. I think she's better everywhere, a lot more experience against higher level competition. Even though her decision making can be pretty terrible, I don't know. I just rate her skill set. Last fight, she lost to Mackenzie Dern by decision. Before that, lost to Verne Yandaroba by decision. Not bad losses at all. Dern is like a top 10 fighter, top 8 fighter in the weight class. And Yandaroba is the third best fighter in the entire weight class, only behind Zhang Weili and Yang Xiaonan, in my opinion. And then before that, split decision win against Tabitha Ritchie. Before that, rear naked choke against Elise Reed. Couple other good wins. Emily Ducote. Um, yeah, lost to Angela Hill, which isn't the best look, but Angela Hill is coming off a win in her last fight, so she definitely still has it. And yeah, I don't know. She just has higher level competition names on her resume. She's just fought better people, which leads me to believe that she's gonna, know more about the sport and just be the better fighter. I don't know. Maybe that's bad decision making from me, but who knows? I think Lupita Godinez gets it done. Let's move on to the next fight. I'm excited for this one. Melquizael Costa versus Christian Rodriguez. One of my most hyped up fights on the card. I'm going Christian Rodriguez, man. He's the prospect killer. I know Costa's not exactly like too much of a prospect anymore. He's more of like a established fighter, but he's still kind of on the run and he's still kind of on a bit of a. I still kind of consider him a bit of a prospect, even though he's lost a couple times. That just means he's not the best prospect, you know. And Christian Rodriguez, he just beats these guys. You know, I think he's going to be the better boxer than Costa. Costa probably has a better kicking game, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think C-Rod can get in on the inside, box his head up, land the better shots, push a harder pace. He has better cardio than Costa, and on the ground, I think the wrestling is probably on a decently similar level. I think Rodriguez is probably the better wrestler, better get-up game, and I think, I'm seeing a lot of people pick Costa by sub, and I understand what you guys are thinking. C-Rod got guillotined by Julian Erosa 2 fights ago. Costa just guillotined Andre Fili in his last fight. Andre Fili is not the same as Christian Rodriguez. Okay, I promise you that. Christian Rodriguez has a much more developed, higher level ground game, much harder guy to submit. Andre Fili is just. He literally gave Costa that submission. He literally stuck his head into the guillotine, let Costa set it up, didn't even try to fight it. Rodriguez isn't going to do that. He's going to push a pace. If Costa doesn't get him out of there in the first round, Rodriguez is going to win it. Because he's going to push a pace. He's going to have way better cardio. And I think Rodriguez gets a 29-28 unanimous decision, maybe even a late finish. I don't know. I could see Rodriguez kind of gassing Costa out with the ground game, mixing in some takedowns of his own, and maybe getting a late submission, late TKO, something like that. I don't know. But I think decision is the safe bet. And yeah, I got to go Christian Rodriguez, man. I can't keep doubting him. He just keeps beating these prospects. Took Austin Boshi 0 in his last fight. A couple fights before, beat Isaac Delgarian, took his 0. Before that, beat Cameron Simon, took his 0. Before that, beat Raul Rosas Jr., took his 0. he just beats these guys. I know Marcos Acosta's not undefeated, so it might be a little bit different, but dude, C-Rod just beats these guys, man. Only two losses in the UFC to Jonathan Pierce and to Julian Erosa by fluke guillotine. So I mean, not the best losses, but other than that, man, he's looked great in all of his other fights. He's a finisher, kinda. Eh, he was a finisher on the regional scene, but he's been a little bit more of a decision guy recently. He does have that one anaconda choke against Joshua Williams. Then obviously beat Raul Rosas Jr., Cameron Simon, and Isaac Dulgarian. Three undefeated fighters in a row. He took their zeros. I know the Dulgarian fight is called a robbery sometimes. I don't know, could be, couldn't be. Who knows? And I know he's had those weight misses, but that's why he's up at featherweight now, because he was missing weight down at bantamweight. But yeah, I gotta go Christian Rodriguez here. I think he's the better fighter, and I think he's gonna do what he usually does and beat the up and comer. So yeah, Christian Rodriguez for the win. Let's move on to the next fight. Ateba Gautier versus Jose Medina. I'm going to have to go with Ateba Gautier via a first round TKO. I think he's going to knock out Jose Medina in the first round, probably up against the fence, hurt him, and then the doctors are going to step in. Maybe he puts Medina down, maybe he doesn't, or doctors, what am I saying? Ref. The ref is going to step in and save Jose Medina. I don't know if he puts Jose Medina down fully, but maybe. Medina's never felt power like this. Zachary Reese was hurting him a bunch. I know Zachary Reese has some power, but he doesn't have power like Ateba Gautier. He's from Cameroon. Cameroonians have some insane power. We've seen guys come out of Cameroon like Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Francis Ngannou, guys like that. They all just have crazy power, and Gautier is no exception. 6'4" with an 81-inch reach at middleweight. He's going to be way bigger than Medina, and I think he's going to feel the power in the first round from Ateba Gautier. Even if he doesn't get the finish, he's probably going to win the decision anyways. It's not like I'm seeing some people say like, "Oh man, Gautier might gas out. Medina might get a late finish. He might put the pace on him." Medina doesn't put the pace on people. Like, he just doesn't. And it's not like Ateba Gautier is known for gassing out. His last fight went 4 minutes into the second round and he didn't look gassed out. He got a knockout 4 minutes into the second round. So he clearly has knockout ability for at least 2 full rounds, which is going to be more than enough to beat Medina, who doesn't really put on a pace in the later rounds. He gets beaten up in the first round and then gets beaten up a little bit less in the second round and then a little bit less in the third round. It's not like he's putting a pace on these guys. He got 30-27 in both of his UFC fights. On the Contender Series, he got 30-27 by Magomed Sulov, and then in his UFC debut, 30-27 by Zach Reese. And I don't know, I rated Tebo Gautier. He looks dangerous. He looks powerful. He's huge for the weight class. I think he's just going to be able to muscle around Jose. I think Jose is going to feel the power, and I think he's going to get standing TKO'd up against the fence. And I think Atebo gets him out of there. So yeah, Atebo Gautier, first round TKO. Let's move on to the next fight. Edgar Shirez versus CJ Vergara. I'm going to have to go with Edgar Shirez. I'm going to pick him by first round submission. CJ Vergara is not UFC caliber in my opinion. He has some decent wins. Nah, he doesn't. What am I saying? He's got a couple wins in the UFC, but none of them are like anything to look at and anything to really care about that much. He beat Vinicius Salvador, Daniel Lacerda, Clayton Rodriguez, which was a robbery. KO'd Bruno Correa on the Contender Series with a knee to the body. They're just these aren't good names. It's not like he's beaten anybody good. And Edgar Shirez, I know he doesn't really have any good wins as well. He's had a pretty bad start to his UFC career. He's 1-2. But like the two losses are to Tatsuro Taira and Joshua Van. And he was looking competitive with Joshua Van, especially in that first round, and had a couple good shots in that fight. CJ Vergara, I know his losses are not terrible either. He's lost to Asu Almabayev. In his last fight, he got KO'd in the first round by Ramazan Temirov. Lost to Ode Osborne in his UFC debut. Got submitted by Tatsuro Taira. I don't know. He's just not an amazing fighter at all. Like, I just think Edgar Shirez is way better, and I think Edgar Shirez is going to get another win here tonight and go up to 2-2 in the UFC. So tonight, what am I saying? It's Thursday. Saturday night, I think Edgar Shirez is going to get another win and move to 2-2 in his UFC career, and hopefully send CJ Vergara out of the sport because I don't think he belongs. He's just not that good. So yeah, Edgar Shirez, first round sub. Let's go on to the next fight. Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. I was really debating picking Kevin Borjas as an underdog. I was really trying to justify it, but I just can't. I really think Ronaldo Rodriguez is going to get it done. I'm picking him by round 2 submission. Kevin Borjas, man, he's decent on the feet. He gave Joshua Van some trouble early on in that fight, but then eventually kind of slowed down and got beat up. And then got finished in his next fight by Alessandro Costa. And Alessandro Costa is decent, but not the best fighter. He's not terrible. He's solid, but not like an amazing fighter. I don't think Ronaldo Rodriguez is amazing either. I think he's actually a little bit overrated, but I think he is good enough to beat Kevin Borjas, who was 0-2 in the UFC. I really want Borjas to get a win here, and I really want him to get, on the right track in the UFC. but I don't think Ronaldo Rodriguez in Mexico is the right way to do it. Ronaldo has so much heart. Like, he got dropped bad in his last fight by Ode Osborne. I thought he lost that fight, by the way. I gave Ode round 1 and 3. But Ronaldo Rodriguez got dropped bad in that fight in the first round, and then came back, almost got put in a triangle too, almost got put in a triangle, and then survives, gets out of it, and then pulls off a win. Even though I don't think he won, but it was very close, and that was impressive to me. If Kevin Borjas was in that situation, he would have got finished. He doesn't have the same heart as Ronaldo Rodriguez, especially in front of the Mexican crowd, where I think Ronaldo Rodriguez is going to be he's going to have a boost. He's going to really want to get this one done, and I think he does get it done. I think first round Borjas might hurt him. Ronaldo Rodriguez does seem to be a tiny bit chinny, but I don't know, Borjas, it's not like he has one shot KO power. I think Borjas will hurt him in the first round, maybe win the first round, but I think eventually Ronaldo Rodriguez will get him down. And I think when he gets him down, he's going to have way better jiu-jitsu, and he's going to get the submissions. So, yeah, give me Ronaldo Rodriguez to submit Kevin Borjas in the second round. Let's move on to the next fight. David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira. I'm going to have to go with David Martinez to get this one done via a first round TKO. Simon Oliveira is just too inactive for my liking. He just doesn't really fight, and he's just not great either. He's kind of like a mid-tier, low-level fighter. If you look at his resume, he doesn't really have anything standing out. Lost to Daniel Marcos by finish in his last fight. Getting finished by Daniel Marcos is not the best look. Before that, lost a decision to Tony Gravely, which was in 2022. His last fight against Daniel Marcos was in 2023, January, so over 2 years now. His last win was in 2021 on the Contender Series against Jose Adley. Before that, was on a decent run in the was on a pretty decent run in the regional scene. Beat a couple guys there, got a couple decent wins. I don't know. He is a bit of a submission artist. 11 wins by submission, but I just think David Martinez can get this one done. I think he's a better fighter. He's just been looking way better recently in his career, way more active. He last fought in October of 2024, so not that long ago. Got a decision win on the Contender Series, but before that, he was really breaking people, getting a bunch of KOs. He's got 9 wins by KO, and only 2 decisions. So, yeah, I think David Martinez gets this one done. I think he's going to be able to get in on the inside, use his boxing, use his striking, outstrike Simon Oliveira, and get the KO over the inactive Brazilian. And I think David Martinez is going to put on a great show for the people of Mexico and his hometown. I'm sure his family's going to be there. I'm sure they're going to be excited to watch him fight. And he wants to make a statement in his UFC debut. So, yeah, David Martinez, first round TKO. Let's move on to the next fight. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vince Morales. I'm going to go with Raul Rosas Jr. as a lock. I'm picking him by a 30-27 unanimous decision. He's just going to out-wrestle Vince Morales. Like, Vince Morales is not very good. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, or 4-fight losing streak, sorry. In his last fight, he lost to Elijah Smith by decision, Taylor Lapilus before that, Miles Johns before that, and before that, Jonathan Martinez. His last win was against Louis Smolka in 2021 by KO. Cool. Raul Rosas Jr. is very durable. I don't see him getting KO'd. He has a good chin. You can just tell by looking at him. He's got a fucking ugly chin, but it's a good chin. It's durable. And you're not going to submit him. He's just seems like one of those guys that are very difficult to submit. And dude, Vince Morales got out-wrestled and out-grappled in his last fight by Elijah Smith. I know he had that really close submission attempt in the last round, but you're not going to have Rosas Jr. in a position like that. I think Rosas Jr. is a much better wrestler and grappler than Elijah Smith. Elijah Smith is probably a better striker. He was able to land the better shots on the feet. I think Rosas can hang on the feet. He's looking better every single fight. He's improving at a rapid pace, and Vince Morales is going nowhere but down in his career. And like, I don't know, he doesn't beat any of these guys. Like, yeah, he's like a crafty vet, I guess, but is he really a crafty vet? He's more of just a vet that is used to kind of boost these prospects' names. Like, Elijah Smith beat him, Taylor Lapilus beat him, Jonathan Martinez beat him. Like, he's just used for like these up and comers to get a good name on their resume. But like, is it even really a good name if everybody's beating him? Like, I don't know. He's lost a couple times even earlier in his career. Lost to Chris Gutierrez, Benito Lopez, Song Yadong. Beat Ayman Zahabi back in 2019. Cool. I don't know. I just don't rate Vince Morales that highly, and I think Rosas Jr. is a lock. I think he's even live for a sub in the later rounds. I think he has the better cardio. I think he's better wrestler, more strong, better grappling. And on the feet, he's going to be able to hang. He's not going to get finished. So, yeah, give me Raul Rosas Jr. by 30-27 decision, or maybe even a late submission. But, yeah, give me Raul Rosas Jr. to get this one done as a lock. Let's move on to the next fight. Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. I'm going to have to go with Joe Pyfer. I'm going to go with him by decision. He could get the finish, but Gastelum's very durable. He's never been finished before in his career. Well, never been KO'd. He's been submitted a couple times. And honestly, I was thinking about it. Joe Pyfer could get a sub. He's very strong, very athletic. He's the much more explosive, more like just strong. He's a better athlete than Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum is not a middleweight. He's more of a welterweight, but he's just fat and cares more about the best tacos in LA than he does about cutting down to his proper weight class. So, yeah, it's going to hurt him. He doesn't take his career as serious. Joe Pyfer obviously is much more of a dedicated athlete, much more in shape. And I think early on, he's going to hurt Kelvin Gastelum, especially in that first round. Kelvin Gastelum's going to feel the power. If he tries to brawl and tries to get in there, I think Joe Pyfer puts him out. If he tries to play it safe, I think Pyfer's just going to outstrike him and then hurt him. I don't really see Kelvin Gastelum really getting the wrestling going. Pyfer's, he's got good grappling. I think if it goes to the ground, Pyfer's very live for a sub. Anywhere this fight goes, Kelvin Gastelum is in danger. And I think early on, Gastelum's going to feel the power. He's going to get hurt. I think Pyfer gets a knockdown in the first round. Maybe he doesn't finish him. Maybe he does. But I don't know. I think Kelvin could win the third round off just having better cardio. Maybe Pyfer just gasses out. But, dude, he was beating the shit out of Jack Hermanson in those first two rounds. So I think he's good for the first two rounds here at least. Maybe even wins the third round. Maybe even gets a finish. I think a submission is more likely than a knockout because Pyfer does have a submission game, and Gastelum has never been KO'd. But who knows, man? I'm going Pyfer by decision. And yeah, nothing really else to say about this one. Kelvin Gastelum doesn't take his career serious at all. He's more worried about the best tacos in LA, so I got to pick the more well-conditioned, more dedicated athlete. Joe Pyfer's just more dedicated to the sport that he performs in, so I got to go smoking Joe Pyfer. I think he goes in there, turns off the body cam, and puts on a great performance that we won't see because they aren't going to put it on LAPD Live. Let's move on to the next fight. Co-main event, Manuel Torres versus Drew Dober. This is a 50-50 fight. This is 100% ending in a finish. I'm going Drew Dober by second round TKO. I'm picking Drew Dober. Could Manuel Torres just drop him and submit him or KO him in the first round? Yes, that's very likely. Could Drew Dober survive the first round? Kind of, get hurt, rocked, maybe lose the first round, but then come back with a better game plan in the second and win because Torres has no ability to adapt? Yes, that's also very possible. This is a 50-50 coin flip fight. Either Torres goes out there, blitzes in, lands like a nice step-in elbow or something, drops him, chases him down, submits him, or just finishes him. Or he doesn't get the finish in the first round, doesn't make any adjustments because it's Manuel Torres. We know he doesn't make adjustments. We've seen that in the Bahamondes fight. He's not good at making adjustments. When his game plan doesn't work, he just ups the aggression, which is going to be bad for him. And I think Drew Dober can craft it up. I think Drew Dober can survive the first round. I think Drew Dober can maybe, I don't know though. Like I don't know. Is Drew Dober going to kind of play it safe, or is he going to play into Torres' game and just brawl? Because I think if they brawl, I think Torres can sleep him. But like Dober could also sleep him. I don't know. This is 100% guaranteed a knockout. I'm going with the side of Drew Dober though. I think he survives the first round, gets hurt bad, dropped, but survives. And then Torres fails to make the adjustments. Dober makes the right adjustments and gets the boxing going and KOs him. He didn't look terrible against John Silva in that fight, man. He was landing decent in that first round. I know he got kind of beat up in the second and third and got doctor stoppaged, but dude, like, it's not like people just put Drew Dober away. Like, he's only been KO'd once by Matt Frivola, which wasn't that long ago, which kind of does suggest that his chin might be going. But, dude, I don't even think Gene Silva knocked him down. So I don't know, man. Manuel Torres might struggle to get him out of there, but who knows? Dober's been submitted a couple of times, quite a few times actually, and Manuel Torres does have a dangerous submission game. So, if anything, I see Torres knocking him down and getting a submission. But I can also see Dober landing a counter or like landing a good boxing combo. Who knows, man? It's either Torres first round or Dober later in the fight because we know Torres, once he gets out of that first round, completely different fighter. Torres is not the same fighter in the second and third as he is in the first. Like, dude, I don't know, man. I'm nervous for this fight, man, because this really could go either way. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I'm excited for this fight, though. I'm excited for this one. Definitely going to be a banger. And I'm taking the side of Drew Dober. So, yeah, give me Drew Dober, second round TKO. Let's move on to the main event. Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg, main event. This is going to be a sick fight. I'm super excited for it. I don't love it for the division at all. I don't think Steve Erceg deserves this one bit. Loses to the champ, then gets KO'd by the number 4 guy, and then gets a step up from the number 4 guy against the number 2 guy. That doesn't make sense at all. So if Steve Erceg wins this, it's going to be a really weird spot for the division. But yeah, I think Brandon Moreno gets this one done, 49-46. Erceg, I don't know, man. He's got decent boxing, but he's hittable, man. Like I've seen him get hit in a lot of his fights, and it just took that one guy with power to put him out, Kai Kara France. I don't know if Moreno's going to put him out, but I definitely think it could hurt him, outbox him. The grappling side, I don't think either of these guys are really going to grapple too much, but honestly, on the ground, I favor Moreno. I think he has a better control game and a better submission game. I do favor Moreno there. It's not like Erceg's going to submit him or knock him out. Moreno's never been finished in his entire career, so I'm not worried about that. The only thing I am worried about is that Steve Erceg is good at damaging people. He's good at causing visible damage like cuts and bruises. He's done it against most of his opponents. Did it to Matt Schnell. Did it to Alessandro Pantoja. He was starting to do it to Kai Kara-France. He had that nose kind of busted up a little bit, but yeah, he's not really a knockout artist, but he is very good at damaging people. So maybe he cuts Brandon Moreno open and gets a doctor stoppage or wins a few rounds based on damage. But I think Brandon Moreno can land more strikes. I think if he needs to, he can mix in the takedowns. I think, Steve Erceg, he doesn't have the best decision making all the time on the ground, especially against Alessandro Pantoja, where he shot that takedown in the 5th round and just got reversed. That was really bad decision making with the grappling, but who knows? Maybe he's improved since then. We haven't seen his grappling since then. The Kai Kara-France fight was all on the feet, and he got slept. Moreno's not as powerful as Kai Kara-France, but I think he's better than Kai Kara-France, a more skilled striker. And he's more well-rounded, more durable, and it's in Mexico, man. I know last time in Mexico he did lose to Brandon Royval, but Brandon Royval is a much higher level fighter than Steve Erceg, in my opinion. He's much more competent in there, especially in a striker matchup. But I don't know, man. Brandon Moreno, I think he gets this one done. I want to point something out. I went back and rewatched the Steve Erceg Alessandro Pantoja fight because I haven't rewatched it in a while. Because people, I just remembered, I was watching some breakdowns and people were saying, "Oh, I thought he beat Pantoja." I went back and watched that. I don't think he beat Pantoja. That was not a robbery in my opinion. I gave that fight to Alessandro Pantoja. It was close. Erceg definitely won a few rounds, but I gave it to Pantoja. And yeah, I think Moreno's going to win this one. Outstrike him cleanly on the feet. Mix it up to the body, the head, the legs, mix up his targets. And if he needs to, get some takedowns. Like, let's say he gets cutting around with an elbow or something, then he can mix in a takedown, get him on the ground and control him for a bit. Maybe get some ground and pound going. I don't know, man. I just think Brandon Moreno has all the tools to beat Steve Erceg. I think it's a bad matchup for him, and I think Brandon Moreno gets it done. He looked amazing in his last fight against Amir Albazi. Completely pieced him up, 50-45'd him. I hope they let Moreno wear his shorts because he deserves that. I really hope they let him wear his shorts, his custom Mexican ones. I think they're sick. I think they're one of the best custom shorts. But yeah, Brandon Moreno, I'm going to go with him getting this one done over Steve Erceg. Unfortunately, Steve Erceg is going to be on a 3-fight losing streak, which does suck, but hey, it's the UFC's fault. They're giving him high-ranking guys. They should have given him a fight down in the rankings after the Kai Kara fight. He was scheduled against Asu Almabayev, but they decided to switch some things around, so he's fighting Moreno now. I think he would have beaten Almabayev pretty comfortably. I don't know, maybe a hot take, maybe not, but I think he would have won that. And Moreno, I don't know. I don't see him beating Moreno. I think Moreno's better everywhere. And I think, especially at Mexico with the elevation, Brandon Moreno's cardio is going to play a huge factor. Steve Erceg is going to be a lot more tired in those later rounds than Moreno is. And I think Moreno's going to be able to put a pace on him. Maybe finish him in the later rounds, 4th or 5th round TKO or sub. Those are very much possible. But yeah, Brandon Moreno's going to get this one done. He's going to take home a W from Mexico. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this prediction video. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know who you guys are picking, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.